Newcastle with a chance. He shoots. It's a goal. They score. Absolutely unbelievable.
Melbourne Victory were forced to endure a rare loss at home last weekend, and they will be looking to bounce straight back as they welcome the Newcastle Jets to Geelong today. With a new coach locked in just 1 week before the season commenced, they have fought hard in the first 2 rounds, and there is a lot of young, local talent in Mike Mulvey's squad. The Newcastle Jets sent their Matilda on a recruitment drive to the USA in the off-season, and Emily Van Egmond brought 3 exciting American recruits back to Steel City with her. This is Melbourne Victory and the Newcastle Jets in round 3 of the W League. Hello, I'm Neve Owens. Welcome to Simonds Stadium in Geelong. Before we have a look at today's game, let's go through last weekend's results. The Sky Blues came out of the first ever Sydney derby with bragging rights, beating the Wanderers 1-0. Canberra United put 5 goals on Newcastle in the last 20 minutes of their game. Perth made it 2 on the trot, and Melbourne lost 1-0 to Brisbane. So after 2 rounds of W League action, Perth Glory remain on top. But right behind them are Canberra United, Sydney FC and Brisbane Roar. Adelaide United have shown plenty of promise so far. They're sitting in 5th position with the Wanderers and Victory at the bottom of the table after 2 rounds. Well, we're in Geelong today for the big clash between 2 teams that Melissa Barbieri knows very well, Melbourne Victory and the Newcastle Jets. Bubs, you must be looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's always an exciting match between these 2 teams, with only 1 goal differentiating the teams in previous encounters.
Plenty of goals scored in Newcastle last weekend, though. Canberra United put 5 on the Jets. How tough will it be for them to bounce back from that?
Yeah, but the scoreline wasn't really indicative of how well the Jets played. So they'll be taking the first 70 minutes of that game into this week.
Melbourne Victory could really do with the 3 points as well, but they've got some serious injury concerns.
Yes, both Ashley Brown and captain Louisa Bisbee both out with ACL injuries. But with injuries come opportunities, so the young guns in this team will be looking to step up.
And Mike Mulvey does have a number of young guns at his disposal. Stephanie Catley and Brianna Davies will really need to step up today, won't they?
Yes, Stephanie Catley comes in as captain, and you can see that Mike Mulvey has gone with a back 3, and that's really rare in the W League. So he's gone 3-4-3 with Enza Barilla pushing out of midfield and Tiffany Eliadis coming in for the injured Bisbee. Cindy Lay up front for Ashley Brown.
As you say, Stephanie Catley is stepping up into the skipper's role, and she caught up with Peter Wilkins a short time ago.
Focus probably just to improve on next week. We thought we played pretty well last week, and we're sort of unlucky not to get some points with it. So yeah, we'll just be looking to improve and hopefully get the points this week.
And you can't be too complacent. Your opposition conceded 5 in the last quarter.
Yeah, I think that's the key point with that it was in the last quarter and they probably just switched off. So yeah, definitely won't be complacent with them today. We're really sort of pumped up for the game and we'll be ready to go.
As for the Jets, Bubs, despite losing you this season, they still have some very experienced heads in their side, but they're without their sole Matilda today.
Yes, Emily Van Egmond is out with an ankle injury, but the midfielder is bolstered by the 2 Americans, Huster and Salem, and young Matilda, Hannah Brewer. Key notable omissions today are Tara Andrews and Bosch's on the bench.
Well, the Jets captain and former Matilda, Hayley Crawford, is very keen to get that first win on the board. She also spoke to Wilco a little earlier on.
Yeah, obviously we want to not concede goals today, coming off, I guess, a 5-0 thumping from Canberra. So that's been a bit of a focus in our defence, but also finishing the opportunities that we do get in the game.
Well, you did concede 5 in the last quarter of an hour and 2 the previous week. Is it concentration or fitness?
No, it's definitely not fitness. Probably more down to concentration and just playing out the full 90. We can't switch off, especially in this league, because there's good players everywhere, and we need to sort of play the full 90 minutes and not switch off at sort of 75, 80 and think the job's done.
The stage is set here at Simonds Stadium with kickoff not far away. So let's join Peter Wilkins in commentary.
Hello and welcome. A glorious day for football in Geelong for this match between the Melbourne Victory and the Newcastle Jets. Melbourne having won all 4 encounters in the W League against the Jets. But as we heard at the top of the program, not much separated the two. Katie Patterson overseeing the action today. and there's expected to be a penchant for attack between these two teams. Both coaches want to entertain. They want their teams to go out and have a crack. So we're looking forward to the encounter. A little huddle to start proceedings. It's de rigueur these days. Angela Salem, one of the imports, one of 3 US players, born in Akron, Ohio, and she's a very talented midfielder. So the Melbourne Victory to be running from left to right as we view the action in the first half. The field in absolutely perfect order. We'll get confirmation of that in a moment with Neve Owens. But we're about to see the kickoff in this match. Play is underway in Geelong. The Melbourne Victory up against the Newcastle Jets, and both teams looking to crack their first win of the season. Just 1 point between the two teams in the 2 matches each played so far, and Newcastle straight onto the attack, and they're going to be looking for some opportunities coming through the middle of the park through their US contingent there. And Danielle Johnson, she's going to be having to do a little bit of defending against some of those players who she'd know fairly well. But almost a half opening early on as we see the Victory pretty much retreating. Catley lays the ball neatly out in front and lays it out in front of the player chasing through. But there's going to be no ball gathering there. As we see Catley again, Cindy Lay, one of the youngsters in the team. And they work it down the left through Catley, trying to get the ball across, but she does win a corner. So Melissa Barbieri, a fascinating game today, given the players that are out of both teams and some of the imported players coming into the fray.
Yeah, with Ashley Brown just totally rupturing her ACL there. It's a big loss for the Victory, as is Louisa Bisbee.
Now, Catley looks to get the cross in near post. Quite dangerous. Away by Huster, and it's going to come back in again. Stacey Day. And some of the tall timber in defence for the Jets, trying to get it clear. And Micah Reuter-Hurley is in the centre of that 3-pronged defensive line, as Bob said at the top of the program, quite unusual. We see Catley giving the team plenty of width in the early moments of this match. Back into the centre, Jackson. And now a little bit of a half chance, perhaps. Guyan Koja lays it back neatly. So they're building possession nicely in the early moments of this match, the Melbourne Victory. Although that ball a little bit misdirected. But up front, they've got a real talent today in Jess McDonald for the Melbourne Victory team, and an unusual story too. She's a young mum, just an 8-month-old at home, Jeremiah, who she's left under husband's instructions with him in Arizona, so she can pursue her footballing career. She's
an inspiration for me, that's for sure. The way she's come back just 8 months after giving birth. She says, after giving birth, I can pretty much take anything. Pressure is nothing once you've given birth.
Absolutely, but a real sort of consensus decision for her to come out here. Mike Mulvey, the coach, was a little bit reluctant to bring her out here, given that she did have an 8-month-old, as we watch Newcastle through Gemma Simon try and tee it up into the centre. Looking for Michaela Hatzirodis. And a half chance in the centre for Hatzirodis, but she can't quite control it. One of the newcomers into this Newcastle side as well. But terrific. Mike Mulvey showing some reluctance, but the husband said, you go and fulfil your dream. She wants to get back into the top level of football, and she can only do that she believes with a 4-month stint over here. She was recommended to Mike Mulvey and he's taken the opportunity. So great to see her out here with Jeremiah at home on the bottle.
Yeah, it's definitely a group effort when it takes a family to split up like that for at least 4 months, and I'm sure she's missing her child very much so, but husband and Jeremiah know that she's fulfilling her dreams by coming over and playing in Australia, and that's the beauty about playing in Australia. It brings all kinds to the game, and it's just lifted the game immensely.
Absolutely, and we can see the aggression in the early moments of this match with the Victory playing with some great width. And it's Rebecca Stott, experienced campaigner too, born in New Zealand, but losing out down that left side, so a rare mistake for the newly capped Matilda. Steph Catley, and a neat interchange of passes, and will it find its way to Hatzorodis in the centre? Not quite. And so they're going to come away again through Rebecca Stott for the Victory. And now working it in the middle, Amy Jackson. She's one of those silent achievers in this Melbourne Victory team, missing a couple of vital components this year too in Kendall Fletcher and Jodie Taylor, two dynamic players up and back. And well, they'll be sorely missed as the season progresses, you'd think, Bubs, but they're going to try and fill the breach.
Yeah, well, now that European leagues, go for so long, it kind of eats into our W League a little bit. So if any of the Swedish players or European-based Americans want to come and play in the Australian League, they actually have to miss the first 4 games. So it's one of those decisions that coaches have to come up with. Is it a viable situation? Is it going to bring our team down? Melbourne Victory are waiting on Petra Larsson, who's playing in the Swedish League, and she's only this late because she has to finish her league in Sweden first.
Now a Newcastle neat touch, Gemma Simon, she scored from here before, she puts it far post, and unfortunately it was just a little bit too far out in front. Oh, that's a glorious opportunity, but she went across the face of goal, and unfortunately Tori Huster couldn't quite get there in time.
Yeah, it's great to see Gemma back in the fray. She's actually coming back from injury. She's had 2 knee patella injuries last season, and it really diminished her capacity to play well last season for the Jets. And this season, just great to see her back and at full fitness, I hope.
Well, now they're trying to work their way through the centre of defence. Salem, glorious technique on the ball. And that's where she wanted Simon to be, but she does fortuitously get the ball back. And that's going to be no problem for 3 Davey, 3 Matilda's caps. And Hale is the one on the rise, considering the various absences in the Matilda's ranks at the moment through injury, pregnancy, and other various matters.
My ears are burning.
Now, it's the Jets. As I mentioned, with no success against the Victory in the W League, but not much between the two teams. Are they going to be able to pull it together today and take a result out of the match? That's a careless piece of play, surrendering possession. So we're going to see the Jets on the attack, and they've shown a little bit coming through the middle too, with Salem calling the shots.
You'd probably want to see Brianna Davey get that launched up the park. If it has to go out, you want it out up the park a bit further.
And Danielle Johnson tried to steer it out too, and you can see Newcastle pressing hard now on the Victory. There's a real battle for possession. Cindy Lay from Penley, Essendon Grammar, one of the newcomers in the team, just 18 years of age. And she's in the middle of her end of school exams at the moment, English, maths and biology this week. She's already sat for. Should be finding that concentration a tough ask today.
Incredibly intelligent, Cindy Lay. Incredibly intelligent, gifted footballer. What else do you need?
No,
We can do it all, can't we?
Absolutely. Well, she's going to pursue a science degree at Melbourne University next year with hopefully a medical strand thereafter. She doesn't quite know which one she's going into. Now, down on the edge of the field, Neve Owens, the pitch looks perfect, but the breeze can sometimes swirl around. Neve, what's it doing today?
It is a little bit gusty, as you say, Wilco. It had dropped for the start of the game. It's sitting at around 21 degrees at the moment, so beautiful conditions for football. But that gusty breeze could play a factor if it continues throughout the afternoon.
Now we watch the Victory try and build something again to Koja, Turkish international. She plays or has played 14 times for Turkey, and she's operating on that right side today. Now, Enza Barilla, she's been in terrific form in the pre-season and threatening to really produce.
Tori Huster looking very comfortable with the ball in the first half, Wilco. She's dangerous at the front as well.
Absolutely, and she decides to just lay it back to her keeper, Eliza Campbell, doing a chef apprenticeship at the moment as she does her schooling remotely. Now we watch the Victory go backwards to go forwards. And Mike Mulvey called into the fray at the last moment, the former QAS coach for 6 years, and he's gone on to have a great impact at the junior level with the men. Coached the last 6 games of the ill-fated Gold Coast A-League season last year, so he's pretty well-rounded, isn't he, Bubs?
He is, and he's brought this new excitement to the Melbourne Victory team. Like you said, only called in a week before the season started, but the girls really responded quite quickly and quite well, and they haven't had a win on the board or scored a goal yet, but it's coming, and Mike Mulvey is nothing but encouraged by what he sees in Victoria.
Well, Gemma Pearce firing that ball forward to Michaela Hatsarodos. She's had to do a Bachelor of Health Science in Nutrition. So quite a number of the young women playing football pursuing sporting and health careers in the scientific arena. Now, neat turn from Cindy Lay out to Steph Catley, and then Tiffany Eliadis can't quite gather it in, unfortunately, but she might get another bite. Lays it back neatly to Jackson, and out to Catley again with that touch-hugging play of hers. Stacey Day intervenes, and you can see a little bit of room in the middle of the park, but not too much up front. She might have done a little bit better, Tori Huster, to try and explore those few metres in front, given there was only one up front.
Just a bit lacklustre for me, the game so far. No real excitement, no real adrenaline, no real, bite. They've not got the ball under control. Losing possession quite easily, both teams. So let's hope for improved performance as the game goes on.
So a little bit to do.
A little bit to do. The grass is actually, it's in pristine condition, but what you find, not knowing from up this high, is it's actually quite sticky. So you might find players are trying to get the ball out of their feet. It's really hard to control. It just gets stuck under your feet, and I know it doesn't sound like much, but a little bit of water on the park could help that.
Well, now, here's a chance. Davey has to come right out. Sorry, Neve, but there's a half chance there. Hatsarodos really putting in the long strides, and it was dangerous for a moment.
Yeah, she had to come out and clear nice and quickly here, and I've had nightmares of those before on this very ground, and it was opposite the Melbourne Victory, and though the ball can bounce quite high, and if you don't time it correctly, the ball can either go back over your head or the striker can get a touch on it. Well timed there.
Now back to Gemma Pearce from Belmont North, out of the Northern New South Wales Institute of Sport. Born in Gosford, so he's happy to get her opportunity. He's only playing her 7th W League match for last year. A little bit too much weight. Koja does well to keep it in.
Yeah, you really want to see Melbourne Victory playing the ball forward a little bit more. They seem to be tentative going forward, knocking the ball back to try and start, possession going forward. But anytime they get the ball in the midfield, they look to go back, and that's just not going to beat teams. You really want to beat a line and actually continue on doing so, not retreat back.
Now Pearce sizes it up. Simon, neat touch inside. And Hatzirodis, quite statuesque, just perhaps lacking a little bit of pace, but a great ball to Simon, who does well to hold it up. Well, no penalty. There might have been a half cry for one. She was dragged down by the trailing foot, perhaps going to ground a little bit too easily as the sun beams down now. And McDonald gets a touch. And Melbourne, can they build something now? This is better possession football, but they're not advancing the cause. Ball fired across by Koja. McDonald can't control it under pressure from Stacey Day. Back on halfway again. Who wants it this time? Tiffany Eliadis just turned 17 years of age, so a real emphasis on youth at the moment in these two teams as we watch the Victory punch it forward. A little bit too much weight on the ball and over the byline harmlessly so.
Yeah, I think that's better play from Melbourne Victory. They're looking to play the ball forward, Amy Jackson especially.
And Sully, Wayne O'Sullivan back in the coaching fray for the Jets. Now Simon, this is a big chance now. Can she get the better of opponent? Oh, some desperate defence coming in from the 22-year-old. Koja, she had to really put in the long strides to get back because Simon was all over her.
Yeah, Gulchin has really come along this season and she's giving us that extra cover on the right there.
Now Huster, dangerous ball in. Day's up at the far post. Crawford was up there as well. Hooked away though by Reuter Hurley. And she has another crack. And neat covering work coming in from Hannah Brewer. She's an effervescent force. It's a twin sister, Melissa. Keep the twin spotlight going. There's another one in the opposition today too. Who'll probably get a bit of a chance. Rachel Alonso, a newcomer in the team. Louisa Bisbee, she's another twin half as well. And another one who's been brought into the side.
Yeah, Georgia Kutravelis, she's a triplet.
That's the W League twin watch and triplet watch. Wayne O'Sullivan more concerned with the clipboard watch at the moment and just what's happening on the field. But I think he'd be reasonably happy with the way the Jets are going in the opening moments of this match. They've perhaps had the better opportunities, even though we haven't seen any real shots on goal.
Yeah, I think he's worked well with this young side. And he's brought in a lot of players from other states who probably wouldn't necessarily get an opportunity. It's great to see players back like Alicia Foote, Hatzirodis from Queensland. You don't want to see these players exiting out of the W League because there's no room for them in their respective teams or home states. You want them to continue to play.
Knotted down by Jackson. And again, wide on the left is Steph Catley. 6 Matildas caps to her credit. She has been a force down the left side of the park for the Victory. And now the Matildas, great career in front of her. She's deferred a year of doing health science at La Trobe University. As it goes back now to Rebecca Stott and then out wide again. So looking for McDonald in the centre and a sort of head and shoulders and a bit of back in her attempt.
I thought that was a corner ball.
So did the coach, Mike Mulvey, on the sideline, strangely enough.
No, a double touch by Jessica McDonald. The old head shoulder ball. It's always unpredictable, the head shoulder ball, but she'd probably be upset with herself that she didn't get a clean header on that.
Salem beaten for possession by Eliadis, who came in well. Down by Koja, but no one forward. And back into the safe hands of Eliza Campbell, who's played 2 under-17 matches for Australia, regarding them as massive high points in her young career so far. Lost in the last moments in one of those to DPR Korea, and the other one was against Japan. 17 years of age. Great future in front of her. Another goalkeeper who's going to be putting pressure on some of the senior contenders in those ranks. Huster does well. She gets away from Catley and releases the ball right side. Foot inside and out, but can't quite get the better of Rebecca Stott, who holds her ground. And nice play from Stott out to Jackson. But you can see Newcastle very pronounced in the centre of the park. Simon, a little bit of a push from behind, tries to lay it off to Hatzorodis. In fact, there's going to be an offside call. The flag was up against Michaela Hatzorodis. Mum Sandra and Dad John watching up in Brisbane today, and that was not offside.
It's tight. No way was that offside, unfortunately, for Hatzorodis.
Now ball down, Barilla. Neat first touch too. Lay tries to control it, but she was surrounded. And Salem manages to get the better of her. Now Gemma Simon, the ball's been running freely at her feet. Huster, room, who's in the centre. Neat square ball, but the interception was a very, very good one from Tiffany Eliadis chasing back. She did extra well. And Koja misses the first attempt. Oh, and she has to stride out, and now make another error in failing to clear it. The Victory, their own worst enemy at the moment. Brewer attacks. Johnson holds her out. Well, they need to clear it and take stock. Too much fiddling. Well, nice push in the back there. It went unpenalised from Pearce, but all in the mode of 50-50 possession, you'd say. Now back out to the captain, Hayley Crawford. Back in the fray this year. Good to see her back on the park. She's a former Matilda, been capped 9 times. Now they try and pour through the centre through Eliadis. But not precise enough with the return ball. And it was well read. Foot steers it forward to Hatzorodis. Good defence yet again from Rebecca Stott, who's coming into her own.
That's the benefit for Melbourne Victory to play 3 at the back. They do have that attacking prowess through the midfield, but also are susceptible to the counter-attack, because usually when one of the defenders steps forward to start the attack, they are left with 2 at the back and are quite susceptible to wide runs by the Newcastle Jets. So yeah, they want to attack, but they want to attack cautiously and make sure they get behind the ball as soon as possible, as you can see by Gemma Simon here.
Huster gets the call. Simon just hanging back to remain onside. That's Danielle Johnson, born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's played overseas for the Sky Blues. Signed up by the Atlanta Beat this year. Former University of Mississippi student, as we see Gemma Simon. She's really been the player of the afternoon so far. And on the bounce, Davey is under a little bit of pressure from Alicia Foot. But the 21-year-old can't quite get the better of Davey, the 17-year-old. Stacey Day. And the strides of Micah Reuter-Hurley, forced back in defence. Quite a presence in the defence, and needs to be with that central role in the 3-prong defence today. So you need your centre back to be having a blinder pretty much, and she's holding the fort so far. And Zabarilla